Chapter 97, Just tell me if you have the balls or not. On the next day, Su Cheng, who had nothing to do, went to the HQ in downtown to report to his new post early. He was brought there by Ran Jing, and Su Cheng went to the director's office to report in first. During the past few days, the director was just having a really good time, feeling awesome about everything since they were able to take down one big pain in the ass that was rooted in the city for centuries. Seeing Su Cheng, he laughed and immediately greeted him. Why not rest for a few more days? Did your injuries recover yet? Yeah, I'm fine now, and I'm just here early to try to adapt to the environment first. The director nodded, then he got up, went to the cabinet behind him, and retrieved some documents for Su Cheng. Here, you can go now to the HR department to register everything, and then someone will take you to your office. I'm looking forward to working with you. Good luck on your job. Su Cheng saluted. Yes sir. He took the documents, went to the HR department to get everything set up, and then an officer brought him to Team 2's office of the Criminal Investigation Department. When the officer led Su Cheng and walked past a giant office space, a longing smile appeared on Su Cheng's face. But, it turned out that they were just passing by, and at last, they arrived at an office that was only 20 square meters in size. Standing at the door, Su Cheng felt like going back to the hospital already. That was the office for Team 5, this is for Team 2, the officer said and then left. Standing at the door, Su Cheng looked at the foul-smelling office with 8 officers inside. At that moment, their eyes met, and it was mighty awkward. Seeing him with the documents in his arm standing at the door, an old fritter narrowed his eyes and asked Su Cheng, "What are you here for?" Su Cheng took out his badge from the document folder and put it on his chest, not speaking a word. Then, the old fritters gathered around, and after they took a closer look at the badge and the title, one of them lifted his eyebrows. "You are the new guy in charge of Team 2. Su Cheng nodded. Someone passed a cigarette to him, and Su Cheng took it. He walked into the office and seeing the people that were smoking and lazily laying back on their chairs with their feet up on the desk, he frowned. According to my style, people coming to work should look like people that are here to work. I don't mind you guys smoke on the job, but the space is tight here, it's not good for everyone to breathe in your second-hand smoke. We are servants of the public, not sick and sorrowful smokers. I hope you guys can be more energetic on the job. In addition, please go to the hall or outside to smoke in the future, don't stink up the place in here." A guy laying against the chair lazily said, "There's nothing to do all day, where would our spirit come from? Other people have a future to work hard towards, we are just here wasting our time," turning from optimistic and hard-working officers to old fritters. "You tell us, how do we become more energetic?" Su Cheng replied, "Then you guys are going to stay like this forever." His words were a bit harsh, and many people looked over with disdain, trying to figure out why this guy was acting like a big shot. A guy with his feet on the desk puffed out some smoke and asked him, "Is your dad the director?" Su Cheng shook his head. That guy sneered and asked another question, "Then are you a god?" Su Cheng shook his head again. "Then where do you get the sense of superiority to discipline us?" Everyone looked at him with disdain. "Because I will be your boss from now on, so I need to give you guys some positive energy." Right as he said that, the 8 officers all snorted. "Not just anyone can make us call them our boss." Su Cheng didn't bother with that comment. He took out an attendance sheet from his document folder. After a glance, he said, "I will get to know you guys first. Raise your hand when your name's called." Then, he began calling names. Although these guys were extremely reluctant, they still raised their hands since it was for work. By the end, 2 people were missing out of the 10-men team. Su Cheng asked curiously, "Where's Likao and Wu Gong?" Those 8 people were too lazy to answer. Su Cheng waited for about half a minute, and he slammed the documents in his hand onto his office desk and demanded from them, "Then where do you get your sense of superiority in front of me? Maybe I don't have the experience yet, but at least I took care of Northgate's boss last week. If you guys can do the same, then fine, maybe I'm not qualified to be your boss. If not, then you better behave better." The group was pretty angry, but they couldn't refute it as well. One person snorted. "This is the Criminal Investigation Department, not the Special Police Force. What's so good if you can only fight well?" Then, someone pointed at their brain and said, "In here, you have to use your brain to fight the criminals, and if you don't have intelligence, then you will only be walked around by the criminals like a dog." Listening to what you guys are saying, I feel like you are the ones without the brain. Su Cheng smiled. The 8 officers' faces slightly changed. They didn't expect this newcomer to not only not try to befriend them first, but also take the tough attitude approach. Did he not know these guys could just make him a leader without an army in the future? If you guys have a good brain, then you wouldn't talk to your higher-ups like this. Although I can't force you guys to do things, in your future job appraisal reports, I can put some negative comments, and that should be enough to have an impact on your future career trajectory. As long as you have a normal brain, in a system workplace, you probably would know not to go against your supervisor. By doing so only shows that you have no brain. Some people immediately reacted. If you want to use this to force us to yield to you, then I'm sorry, we only yield to people with capabilities. Otherwise, why would we risk our lives against the criminals for you? Very well. I've seen your resumes, as well as the cases you guys had worked on. I'm not targeting any specific person present, but if you guys are acting so almighty just with what was on your resumes, then let me tell you, everyone here is garbage. The faces of the 8 of them immediately changed, and some of the officers even flipped their tables. Papers were flying all over the place, and the scene felt like a battle was going to erupt at any moment. When Su Cheng saw these people getting into a standoff with him, he wasn't nervous at all. At that moment, his one pair of eyes was in a stare-off with the 8 other pairs. Su Cheng directly slammed his hand on the table and said in a deep voice, "What do you guys think you are doing?" The 8 of them immediately prepared to leave the office, but who knew Su Cheng would be one step ahead of them and close the door right away. "Go back!" He enunciated each word. Just at that moment, Li Chao and Wu Gang came back. When they pushed open the door, they immediately sensed the atmosphere. Both of them lifted their eyebrows. Judging by the scene, is the new boss assuming office laying down ground rules? Su Cheng looked at them from the corner of his eyes and asked the 2, "Where did you guys go during work hours? We aren't prisoners, why can't we move around during work hours? Besides, it has been years since we were last assigned a legit mission, so why can't we move around? If you have the ability, you should try to fight with the other groups for more missions. Otherwise, you should stop trying to intimidate us," Wu Gang directly said. Su Cheng replied, "As long as you guys cooperate with me, we won't be last place among the 10 teams. I promise." The other people in the office snorted. "Before you came, we also saw your resume. Although our resumes aren't great, in comparison to your big white blank piece of paper, we are qualified to pick a bone with you." Su Cheng looked right into their eyes as he raised his voice. "If you have what it takes, then I will put my words out here, I'm going to fuck with Westgate, who has the balls to come with me? Now, if you have the balls, then say it right now. If you don't, then get out."